No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he is not the same man. Heraclitus. Now that's really exciting to think about when you understand its ramifications. Every time we turn around, we're building a brand new body. That's exciting because it means it's never too late to make better choices. Remember, everything we do affects us, and then those effects accumulate and are recorded in what we got. And whenever we don't like what we got, we've been accumulating the wrong things. Of course, most of us just don't know what we're doing, and that's why we're in the boat we're in. But once you find the knowledge that we need, which is what my channel is all about, once you understand how to satisfy our needs, you can start building a brand new body. And according to Deepak Chopra, we renew our entire body once a year. We make new skin once a month. We get a brand new skeleton every 3 months. We get a brand new stomach lining. Think about that, every 5 days. A brand new liver in 6 weeks. In 1 year, we replace 98% of the atoms in our body, according to Deepak Chopra. Remember when I read that several decades ago? I thought, well, that goes against what everyone else has been saying. It took 7 years to build a brand new body. Either way, it doesn't matter, does it? What's exciting is that we are building a brand new body. Just like you can't step in the same river twice because different atoms, our body's the same way. So we got to ask ourselves, are we building the best body we can? And in most cases, we're not. And of course, that should help motivate you to realize to try to build the best body you can. And this reminds me of something George Malcolm said when I went to see him speak here in Houston. In the early 90s, he came here about 3 or 4 times, and I saw him each time he came. He was delightful to listen to. Great testimony of himself, and then at least 1 million followers doing the Hallelujah Diet, which is a version of Raw Till 4, because Malcolm understood how difficult this is for a lot of people. So he says, look, we know you're spiritually weak, so at least have 1 meal in the evening, but make sure it's raw during the day. Raw till whenever. But I love the story he told about his wife, Rhonda, how she grew up with scoliosis as a child, and he married her later in life after this happened to him. I think he was like maybe 50 when he married her, and they were about the same age, of course. But in the meantime, she had a real bad car accident, messed up her back even more. And of course, what did the doctor say? There's nothing you can do about this. You'll be crippled for life. Old George Malcolm said, 1 year, just like me, she had a brand new body. Because they only sell food as raw food. That's how he said it. They only sell food as raw food. And yes, I've used this analogy before about a $5 brick or a $5,000 brick or even a $5 million brick. You want to build your body out of the best material you can. Yeah! Where do you get your protein? These fruits and vegetables aren't complete amino acids. Yeah, right. Who told you that bunk? They all do, the experts, right? You have to keep in mind that the meat and dairy industry influences the recommendations for all those foods that makes the animal foods look good and the plant-based foods look bad. The protein, the iron, the calcium, B12. We don't need what they claim we need. Don't be too concerned if you're not hitting all those numbers. But you don't want to bury your head in the sand either, do you? Especially when it comes to certain problems that we have now due to the damage we've done to ourselves and the environment. I've mentioned many times we have to be aware of vitamin D. A lot of us are living in places where we just can't get adequate sunshine. And that's crucial to make sure we get vitamin D sulfate, which only comes from the cholesterol being activated by the sunlight, the ultraviolet rays. B12, another huge issue, yeah. Oh, well, this can't be our ideal diet. Does that make sense? Our species-specific diet is not our ideal diet. Can that be true? Oddly enough, it is. And if you watch enough of my videos, you know the answer to that conundrum. Why? It's simple. We don't live in an ideal world. It's damaged. We're damaged. The environment's damaged. Hell, even the society's damaged. That's why it's a big part of my message. And boy, you sure get a lot of opposition in that area. Because that's where they're protecting that illusion of scarcity. Believe the history you've been taught, it's accurate. Believe everything you've been taught, it's accurate. Believe your experts. They're getting such good success. Oh, you know I don't like sarcasm. If you watch enough of my videos, or at least one of them, where I talk about it. I don't use it very often. I don't particularly care for it. But I dislike what's being done to us even more. Folks, when it comes to our health, the people who claim to be our experts are clueless. That's why they don't get results. That's why we get nutritionists that say there is no such thing as a wrong food. Everything in moderation. Well, maybe if you guys studied the third cycle of food, the three main cycles, absorption, or consumption, absorption, elimination, if you guys studied that, you'd realize, no, don't want to put that in the body. It's going to mess up one of those 2 bathrooms we got inside of us. Remember, most of our problems are coming from our bathrooms. Right now, we've got a fly causing a little bit of a problem, but if we put the wrong food in, we've got a kitchen and a bathroom. Small intestines are like the kitchen. Teeth are sort of like a blender. Our stomach is sort of like a juicer. Everything we eat, we got to turn it to liquid, right? Can't have little bitty hot dogs rolling through the blood. Of course not. Got to convert it to a liquid first. And then the kitchen, the small intestines, absorbs that stuff, goes into the blood, hoping that the small intestine is clean, but in most cases it's not. And then we can say that last 5 feet of that 30-foot food tube would be our bathroom, our sewage system. It's supposed to be a fast-moving sewage system, but for most people in America and in industrialized countries, it's a slow, stagnant cesspool where you have 12, 15 meals backed up because our so-called experts don't study the bowel transit time of our food. And I've done quite a few videos on this subject. I'll put some links down below. That's huge. Huge. But remember, we got another bathroom. Most of our problems are coming from that other bathroom backing up. Body's nothing but a bunch of cells, 2 fluids, blood, the kitchen feeds it, lymph system to the bathroom cleans it, protects it. Doctors don't study that bathroom. Sure, they got people who study the lymph system, but they don't have the whole system mapped up. They don't know about that triangle lymph system down the base of the spine that feeds into the kidneys. Hell, they just found one recently in the brain. They said, oh, we thought we had them all mapped out. You don't have any of them mapped out, but more importantly, you don't understand how it works, what it's supposed to be doing. Sure, you got guys who specialize in the GI tract, but these guys are just as clueless about what's going on there as anything else because they don't study anything about food, especially the elimination. They can have a PhD in nutrition and still not realize what they're doing to their intestines when they eat the wrong food. And of course, that's the problem. All of these specialists, they don't study the bathroom, they study the kitchen. We'll analyze the blood, base it on what everyone else is doing, so everyone else is wrong, so we can really use that information right. And then we'll study the cells, and we'll have all these specialists. And none of them will study the concept of totality. So when you go to one guy, they don't know anything else about the rest of the body. That's why they get such horrible results. They don't know anything. If you don't understand the elimination cycle of our food, if you don't understand the bathroom in our body, 2 of them, both of them, you won't understand why we get sick. And then you see people who get degrees in nutrition, and they want to argue about nutrition and disease prevention, not understanding the cause of disease. If you don't understand the cause of disease, you won't know how you're being tricked and fooled and deceived and looking at the wrong information. It's real easy to go down rabbit holes. Oh, look at all these antioxidants. We can study all of those. Study everything in detail. But let's not look at the big picture. Can't we make it simple? Of course, and it should be if we lived in an ideal world. If we lived in an ideal world, it'd be just as easy for us to figure it out what to eat like it would be for any other animal. Why? Because our parents would know better and make sure we knew what to eat. But something happened a long time ago, don't know why. In the last dozen videos of mine, 13, but subtract one I did on my little 1 minute ab workout I did, have been focused on one main topic. How important it is to correct the fall of mankind. To stop making the very first mistake we made in the second stage of knowledge, where our actions are at, where the things we do are at, where our lifestyle choices are at. Don't get tricked and fooled going upstream into the first stage and look at nothing but the knowledge we need. Don't look at all those other factors that are going to determine how we go down into the wrong path and make a mistake. It's good to know that, but it's more important to know what the mistake is. And also don't get tricked into that third stage of knowledge, where our so-called experts are at in medicine. They focus on the effect in the third stage. That's what we manifest. That's what we got. It's that feedback system I always talk about. That's supposed to let us know if we're making a mistake or not. And in most cases for us, it's all due from ignorance, false knowledge. People care about their health, and this upsets me because they want to do the best they can, but they don't have the knowledge. They really think they need to eat animal protein to be healthy. And the person who thinks they need to eat animal protein to be healthy is in a horrible, horrible, horrible dilemma. Because that's going to damage your kidneys. And the kidneys not just filter the blood, they filter the other fluid, the lymph system, the bathroom. And when that happens, that's when the bathroom backs up. And it's responsible for most of our diseases. There's a oneness of disease. Once we understand the oneness of disease, we see the simplicity of how to eat. But there's also a uniqueness of disease, and that can really complicate things. It's based on the damage, individually, and the environment. And this can get a little complicated when there's damage. Let me illustrate my point with a very common condition, multiple sclerosis. That's quite epidemic now, just like B12 is epidemic, and you hear a lot of people are misdiagnosed, and it's really a B12 deficiency. But normally the way multiple sclerosis comes about, keep it in mind that the only thing our medical system does is they identify the symptom. Again, they're stuck in the third stage of knowledge. Don't look at the cause, don't go to the second stage, don't look there. We're not going to name the lifestyle mistakes you're making, cooking the food and eating animals and eating grains and eating processed foods and eating chemicals, chemical foods and GMOs and all that kind of stuff. No, we're going to name the symptom. What do? They name the symptom based on the stage of disease it's in and the location. And now we got all these names, like Plato said. We have made of ourselves a living cesspool and driven doctors to invent names for our diseases. But when you look at the names of the diseases, once you understand that there are 4 main long-term stages of disease, go to my video down below, Healing Secrets Revealed. I explain these 4 stages in detail, and I'm going to go over them briefly here, explaining how multiple sclerosis works. And this is for my good friend Darren. And his wife. And as I explained to this man the other day, that when you look at the disease multiple sclerosis, it didn't begin with sclerosis. It began with an inflammation. That's usually the first of 4 stages the body goes through trying to heal itself. It's usually not from the deficiency side of the equation. In most cases, it usually comes from the toxicity side. And most of that's coming from our own waste matter backing up from our bathroom, our lymph system. Why? Because we damage the kidneys. Kidneys don't filter the lymph system. Too much is in there. It's got to back up, and the only place it can back up is where it came from. So when that happens, it tries to go out the body, nose and sinus areas, in the lungs. These are self-limited diseases. The lungs and pneumonia is a whole different story. Colds and flus are self-limited. I explained there's 2 self-limited, short-term self-limited diseases in that video I mentioned, Healing Secrets Revealed. But then we got those 4 long-term stages. If it's not going through an organ that can go out the body, like our skin, or the nose, the sinus areas, or the lungs, then it goes into actual organs. It loves those hollow organs. It can go into a lot of organs. And when it does, the body tries to heal itself by going through these 4 stages. And the body's acting on itself. I was reminded of a story this morning that I shared with someone where they were talking about this snake in a zoo. And snakes are reptiles, and like reptiles, like crocodiles, they can eat once a year. They're cold-blooded, so if they're in a warm environment, they can go a long time in between meals. And this snake had gone quite a while without eating, and it finally decided to eat. And I guess nothing else was around at the time, so he decided to eat his blanket that was in there. And a couple days later, I guess the snake figured out, hey, I'm not digesting this thing. Let me get rid of this blanket, so he throws it up. And the point of the story here is that the snake acted on the blanket. The blanket didn't act on the snake. And this story is used a lot with natural hygienists who like to say, oh, herbs, they're just stimulating you and the body's trying to get rid of the herb. And that's true to a lot of extent, but there's more to it than that. They don't understand it very well enough. But of course, the point I'm getting at here is that disease is body initiated. Doctors don't know that. They think they have to interfere with the symptoms somehow, and that's what their job is. They're even told in medical school that most of our diseases are due to inappropriate signals. Can you imagine how stupid that is? And how gullible these people are to believe it when they're these young pre-med students being told this. Oh, the body just doesn't know what it's doing. No, it's our feedback system. Illnesses, ill behavior is part of our feedback system, meaning that we're not satisfying our needs. So, when you look at the very first of these 4 stages, inflammation, the body is trying to heal itself. So with multiple sclerosis, it doesn't start off with sclerosis, which would be the 3rd of these 4 stages. It'd be in the first stage, inflammation. In this case, it's neuritis. Nerves are inflamed. Now, why would your nerves be inflamed? Acid waste from our own body is burning it. Where's the acid waste coming from? Our lymph system. It's not getting filtered. It's backing up. It's got to go somewhere. Now, there are 4 stages, but not all organs can go through all stages. The next stage normally for most organs would be ulceration. Like if you have colitis, it turns into ulcerative colitis. Why inflammation? We'll look at the 5 symptoms. Redness and swelling, the 2 fluids to the rescue, the blood and the lymph. Pain and fever, those are also part of the healing process. Remedial, then you got impairment of function. That's what makes it confusing when you look at different diseases that are caused by the same thing. There's a oneness of disease. But it looks like it's a different disease. The thyroid does something different than the pancreas, and et cetera, et cetera. So we have different symptoms. But the key here is the body's trying to do it. And if that inflammation doesn't work and you don't remove the source of irritation that created that inflammation to begin with, then it creates an open sore, an ulcer, ulceration. Nerves cannot ulcerate. So when you start off with neuritis, you don't get ulcerative neuritis. You go straight to the 3rd stage, induration, a hardening, a thickening, a scarring of the tissues. Sclerosis of the liver, multiple sclerosis. All this tells us is we're in the 3rd stage. First 2 of these stages I mentioned, the body's trying to get rid of it. Inflammation, ulcerations. Let's get rid of it. Open sore, let's flow it out. The last 2, the body's trying to protect itself. The induration, trying to encapsulate it. Then the last stage, tumors, cysts, fibroids, nodules, calcifications, trying to protect the body, encase this garbage so it doesn't harm the rest of the body. So what's the solution for every illness and ill behavior we have? Number 1, you got to remove the offending culprit, which is usually our own waste matter. Got to make sure we clean out the bathrooms. We clean out the colon. We clean out, and in the process of doing that, by taking a solid food medication, we also clean out the other bathroom, the lymph system. We can also clean out the lymph system by using a whole lot of astringent fruits, melons and berries, oranges, grapes, grapefruits, these things that are in season now, coming in season right now. But that's not going to clean out the other bathroom very well. A lot of the stuff is, to get that stuff out of that bathroom in the colon, what we've got to do is shut the system down and quit making it work on anything so it can get rid of any old stuff if there is some, and most people have it. I know I've coached thousands of people. So, what do? Remove the irritation, quit putting the wrong food in. Easiest way to correct 5 big mistakes relative to our food, a solid food vacation. And then we have to address any damage that's been done now with multiple sclerosis. What's happening here? We've eaten away at the myelin sheath. So there's other things we can do depending on what we got to help the body rebuild. Now, when I help people, I never tell them what to do, but I said, if I was in your situation, no question what I would do, clean out those bathrooms, see how I can repair any damage. Support those organs if they're producing something my body needs, and we'll give it to it on a temporary basis. If we've damaged our myelin sheath, I'd be taking a whole bunch of good quality oils, hemp oil, or any type of omega-3, omega-6 blend like Udo's oils, flax oil. I'd be loading up on good quality oils to rebuild my myelin sheath. That's what I would do if I had that condition. But we have to realize we have to look at all levels of stress, because when we become stressed, our elimination is shut down, and that produces acid waste. And what's wrong with that? That's what burns all the other organs, and that's why the body's going through the inflammation, ulceration, induration, and fungation is the term natural hygienists called that at that stage. You got to remove the cause. You got to stop banging your head. And if you got a big old knot up there, we might need to patch it up somehow, as in the case of some good quality oils. Keeping in mind that the best source for us on an ongoing basis for our essential fatty acids, and we only need a small percentage, 1 to 2% of our diet needs to have essential fatty acids in our diet. And the best place to get those would be from your leafy greens. Your leafy greens are going to be about 12% fat. Guarantee you eat 2 pounds of leafy greens every day, you won't have any problem getting a daily dose that you need. But if you have an advanced stage of MS, for example, you might need a whole lot more than others. You might be extremely deficient in that. Good chance you probably also have gallstones. And what's the best solution for that? Well, there's a lot of things we can do specific for the gallbladder. But what I find one of the best things to do is just take a solid food vacation, because it addresses so many things. As we clean out our bathrooms, all the other organs can also clean out. A lot of controversy by some people over those liver flushes. I always like the way Dr. Schultz talked about him. He says, doing a liver gallbladder flush, sort of like giving the liver an enema, because the gallbladder is sort of like the rectum to the liver. So when you do that protocol, you take a whole bunch of olive oil at one point, and that tells the gallbladder to empty itself out once it's been prepared properly. But I like other non-invasive procedures to start off with when to go after that gallbladder if it needs some extra attention. Pineapple juice, chug a lot of some fresh pineapple juice. Make sure you juice the core of the pineapple. That's where all the bromelain is at. Got that from Dr. Floor. Was Dr. Ann Wigmore's assistant for the last 22 years of her life. Was a big proponent of using pineapple juice. First thing in the morning, chug a lug it, straight. Don't mix it with anything. And a common herb, an Amazonian herb that I'm really fond of, is Chanca piedra. If you know anything about me at all, I don't sell any products or any supplements. I don't say, yeah, you need some Chanca piedra. Guess what I got? I don't want to do any of that stuff. And I like my students to do as little as possible so they can learn a valuable lesson by taking a solid food vacation. Because when you correct those 5 main mistakes, many times that's all we have to do. But we can't be a fool about this process, as some people are. They think that, remove the primary cause, that's it. No, we've got some subsequent causes that can still cause problems. They might not go away just because we remove the primary causes. And I talk about that in my other videos every time I talk about 2 groups of needs. And again, it's based on the damage we have. We might need to support an organ if it's not making something. Otherwise, for the vast majority of us, it really is that simple. Don't have to worry about taking a whole lot of extra things, except to make sure you do support your organs of elimination. And that's why I'm a big fan of the Chanca piedra, because it translates to break stone. It breaks up stones in your liver and in your kidneys, and a lot of people have problems in that area. Very simple remedy. There's a product by Herb Farm Williams. Again, I don't sell any products. I'm getting kickbacks for any of this. Whole Foods sells it. They call it Stonebreaker. You look at it, and underneath it, you'll see Chanca piedra written in parentheses. According to that little bottle, you take a drop full 3 times a day in an 8-ounce glass of water as a delivery system to get it where it needs to go. Not in juices. It's got to be water. Do that 3 times a day. Pretty bitter, but remember, bitter stimulates the liver. That's what it's used for. I tried a bottle of that a while back. It took right at a week, or 2 weeks rather, 13 days to be precise for me, to empty that bottle if I was getting a perfect dropperful every time. So that is about the only thing I encourage people to do when they take a solid food vacation. Support your organs of elimination. You might want to consider an herb like Chanca piedra, if that fits in with your thinking. Some people don't like to take herbs. Some people see no problem. I don't see a problem personally. But again, that's not my job. I'm an educator. I don't diagnose. I don't prescribe. I don't tell anybody what to do. I just help you understand what you're doing and give you some options. And when you finally do that, when you take responsibility of your life, when you realize there is a oneness of disease, and it's usually the same problem, our own body, waste matter, coming back into us. But there's that uniqueness. We can be individually damaged. Might not be as simple for some. But when you can finally figure out how important those are and you do something about it, you become a brand new person. You'll be stepping into a body that you may not have stepped into for many, many decades. And there's a good chance you'll be stepping in a body. This is how I feel today at 63 years young. I feel like I'm in a body now that's better than one I had when I was 23. I was younger then. But I wasn't eating the right food. The only cell food is raw food, right? I think Malcolmus might be on to something. So, starting to sweat out here. It's still nice and warm. This is a beautiful day here in Houston. I'm looking around me, and I don't see a cloud in the sky. Absolutely gorgeous out here. I believe it's supposed to be upper 80s today. Here in Houston, what do we got here today? It's October the what? 24th, I believe it is. I think that's what it is. There for a while, I was ahead of myself on my videos by 2 or 3 days. I finally took a couple days off, so I'm pretty much back on track now. This is Monday. We'll have this uploaded and published by Tuesday, so there'll be a day break for you guys to try to catch up on some of those older videos of mine. And for you guys who are relatively new to my channel, remember I've got a lot of videos I've made in the last 18 months or so. And they didn't get very many views because I didn't have very many subscribers. I've grown somewhat, but I seem to have stagnated, so perhaps I need to ask you guys to keep up the hard work and keep giving me a thumbs up. I never ask for a thumbs up. I never ask for you guys to subscribe. I never ask for you guys to share. I say never. You know, one every 100 videos maybe. Well, every 200 videos I mention it. But I don't know if I'm not growing because YouTube is not recommending my videos like before. But my channel has slowed down a little bit. I appreciate a lot of the recommendations to do this differently and do this differently. Try my hardest to be entertaining. Could I change it up? Yeah. But the way I'm doing things right now, I get to do this in the middle of my bike ride. I get to think about what I want to say while I'm bike riding. I get to multitask. The way I'm doing things now, I don't have to spend a lot of time editing. I got to spend more time editing now because I don't have a little remote control that I can push and stop it. So I got to edit the beginning and ending, and that's a pain in the butt with the software I have. It takes all day to do that. I'm not complaining, but I'm not in a position where I'm going to start putting out these high quality videos with a bunch of editing, because that's not me. And the people who've been following me for any length of time understand that. I know that. I think I lose all of my authenticity when I don't have my videos riddled with mistakes. It shows you I'm human. I say the wrong word all the time. I'll say minutes, and then 4 of those is 1 minute. Obviously, I misspoke. I misspeak all the time. And I will occasionally rattle or digress, same basic thing as I am somewhat right now. I guess I want to tell you guys that there hardly is a person anywhere you go in your life, around your work, that cannot benefit from realizing that it's never too late to make changes. And of course, we realize that most people just aren't ready. So it's a numbers game. keep going out there, guys. If you have friends you know who have multiple sclerosis, get them to watch this video. If you have friends that have any disease, let them know there's a oneness of disease, and that most of those, or I should say most of the diseases that afflict mankind come from that oneness of disease. It's really very simple. We're not satisfying our needs. Again, that's the whole purpose of my YouTube channel, is to help you guys understand that most people don't have the knowledge we need, and I want to provide that knowledge to you. 5 main mistakes I mention in almost all of my videos. And remember, anytime you're uncertain what any of my videos, or what I'm talking about in any one of my videos, because I've identified 281 pieces, I have a special teaching tool that identifies those, and I have 11-part video series I taped a couple years ago called The Ultimate Solution. And if you go to that video and look in the description box, you can see the 11 parts, and you can see what piece numbers I am going over in those videos. So if you're uncertain about the 2 groups of needs, or the 3 main mistakes, or the 3 ways to correct the 5 main mistakes, or anything like that, always keep that in mind, and help other people. If you bring them into my channel, they're new to this, let them know that if, you know, a lot of times when I go over certain things in videos, I don't want to expand on some topics over and over, and I realize if this is the first time you heard my video, you might not know what I mean. So if that's the case with you, if you're not that familiar with my videos, and I don't explain everything in detail sometimes, like the 2 groups of needs. He said 2 groups of needs, what are they? Well, go to the Ultimate Solution playlist, and you can find in that playlist where I talk about it. You can go to that video, and you can learn more about it. And again, the whole purpose of my YouTube channel is to help educate and motivate you guys so you can be the best that you can be. So you can help those around you and give meaning to your life. Just think what this world would be like if everyone understood that they can step into a new body and within as little as a year be a brand new person. Isn't that exciting? I guarantee you, if that can happen, you know what's going to happen, right? Who on this planet is not going to be in for a treat?